There's two ways that you can make $180,000 per year inside your detailing business. Now, one way is going to be as a solo operator, somebody that handles all of the business things by themselves. You're self-employed, you have one detailing van, and you're able to make about $15,000 a month in profit. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in this video. The other way is somebody that's actually trying to build a company, build something long-term. You have to make about $45,000 a month in revenue. I'll break down the exact cost of what that's going to look like at scale once you've hired people to do most of the day-to-day operations, and you'll be able to pocket about $15,000 per month off of that $45K per month top line. So whether you're a solo operator, detailer that just wants to make a really handsome living by yourself, or you're somebody that's really trying to shoot for the moon and build a sustainable company long term, I'm going to break down exactly what those monthly expenses are going to look like and what steps you need to take in your detailing business in order to achieve that dream outcome. Now, the reason I'm talking about $180,000 per year here is because I believe $15,000 a month in profit as a salary to pay yourself is what's going to allow most of you to live that top 1% dream lifestyle in any major American city. I live in North Austin, Texas, just outside of downtown. I pay myself a base salary of about $15K per month, and that affords me a $3,000 a month apartment. I drive a Range Rover. I can eat out whenever I want. I rarely have to look at bills or prices at the store as long as I'm not going too crazy, and I'm still able to put away about half of my personal monthly take-home income into savings and investments to compound my wealth. This is a full presentation taken from one of our Driven Elite group calls. We have about 35 mobile detailers that showed up to that session inside of our paid community, but I decided, you know what, this presentation was so valuable, I need to go ahead and post this on YouTube to show you guys exactly how you can get to that point where you're making your dream income from detailing, because a lot of people don't believe it's possible. And I've proved it out with over 200 mobile detailers inside Driven Elite at this point. And we have now entered the summer window. It's May 26th at the time of me recording this video. The next 90 days present the biggest opportunity to make money as a mobile detailer in the entire year. So if you're ready, go ahead and take some notes. This video is going to be very, very valuable. I'm going to walk through a lot of those exact steps. And then at the end, we've got somebody coming in who makes about $120,000, $150,000 a month as a mobile detailer to break down what things look like at scale if you decide to leave that role of being just a solo operator and actually try to build a long-term company and hire employees. He's going to break down what his expenses look like making over $1 million per year. For those of you who don't know, brief introduction on George. George is my business partner. We started Driven Elite. We started a formal partnership in October of 2023 during a slow season for my detailing business. And it was a partnership to initially make what we thought was going to be like a software for mobile detailers. And then we discovered You're Able, realized that that was already an amazing solution. So decided to go into building a community. And we launched that soft launch December of 2023. By March of 2024, we had the initial launch group, which included Vincent Caruso. I don't know if anybody else in here is part of that initial launch group. Ricky as well. We're part of the initial 20 people. We did our event in end of May last year, was that first event that we did in Texas with the initial people. And then as the chapter for summer turned into June, July of 2024, that's when we hit the ground running and really had an established foundation and base. So everything that you guys have seen for Driven Elite has been also by the hand of George in the back end as well, behind the scenes. So just want to get a real quick intro from George. He's going to kind of recap our journey together, really trying to hype you guys up for the summer. We got a lot of big things coming. So George, that's a brief intro for you, but take it wherever you want for a couple minutes here.
What's going on, guys? Well, thank you for the quick little intro. I know a lot of people, pretty much almost everyone, but Vincent, does anyone else know me, or is this going to be pretty much a full house of new people? I know we just had a record month, so I'm assuming virtually every single one. Give me like a 1 in the chat if you know me. That'll give me a quick context in terms of how many people out of the 20-something we have on the call. Oh, Latif. Okay, 2 people, 3. Okay. 4. Not bad. All right, so pretty much a full house. So as Hudson mentioned, our goal together is to create, first and foremost, the #1 mobile detailing community in the country. And now we have about 200 members. And as we've done this, we also want to progress with people. When Vincent started his journey with us, he was only making 2 to 3K per month, Vincent? What would you say?
Only 2 to 3K per month. And then I was also working carpentry, and you guys pushed me over the edge and just changed everything.
Well, it's also on him, because he's been consistent the entire time. He's come to every single event. He's come to every single call. He's continued to improve himself and join every single thing in the community. And that's really what it takes. It's not just about, working harder or thinking, oh, I know the answer, I'm going to do it anyway. It's about, staying consistent, being a part of these things. And if you're doing those two things, it's impossible to lose. Not only that, but what we've also done now with 100X Detail is we want to progress with you. So because some of our members like Vincent have already crossed that 20, 25K a month range, well, now we want to take them to the next level, help them go to 100K a month, get into a shop, get financing, maybe get SBA loans, and progress on this journey. I mean, think about what we could do together for the next 2, 4, 5, 10 years. Where could these members be in 10 years? That's what I'm really excited about, because if we can dominate this home service industry, first starting off with mobile detailing, progressing into shops, and we can formalize these systems, we could take that aspect and we can really start creating something very, very powerful and change the landscape, of the country. Because I think, blue collar work is something that's not going to go away. It's not going to be easily replaceable. Many things that are happening online with white collar work is easily replaceable with new AI tools, and it's a much more fickle job marketplace. But as we've noticed, what's really incredible about this space compared to my traditional online space is that every single person is able to get success by simply following the things we lay out. It's not that simple in other industries. If I give you the exact step-by-step direction in e-commerce or running an agency or something else, the probability that people are going to succeed is quite low, especially on a consistent timeline. But there are many members, I'm thinking one off the top of my head, his name is Jesse. He joined us. He was living in a motel month to month. He was 25, 26 years old, had nothing going on in his life through this entire time, no opportunity. And for a small deposit he was able to put down, we got him started. He went through the playbooks and now is making over $15,000 per month.
He did 19 last month.
So how much?
19 last month.
A doctor's salary. I mean, that's why I'm really kind of passionate about what we're doing here, is because I know what this can transition into as we continue building this community and growing with our members over time, adding in now 100X Detail. We're going to have more things that, going into next year, once Vincent already gets a shop and he's already making 100K a month into a shop, he's going to want to maybe franchise his shop. He's going to maybe want to, expand his services within that. Maybe he wants to go into e-commerce. Maybe he wants to do a software. Wherever the trajectory of our communities of our community members are going to go, we want to have things to be able to support you. And, I'm really excited about all those things. And I think right now we have the number one detailing community, in the country. Over 200 members. I would say, people that we look up to last year, like Go Detail, don't really have any momentum anymore. We just had, this last month for us was the record month for Driven to Lean. And, that's what I want to inspire upon you guys. We have a 90-day window here in the summer where the vast majority of the money you're going to be making for the year is going to happen. And the fact that, we should get every single person on these calls, and Hudson, we should strategize on what we could do to do so. But it's these small little touch points that ensure that you stay on the right direction. You continue being involved, and being, just doing these simple steps is going to get you to a life that, doctors and other people who take, 8 to 10 years worth of college, it takes them to get to. So I'm very proud of every single person here. And, kudos to Hudson and every single member like Vincent, who, continues to stay consistent and inspires everyone to kind of, raise all waters.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you very much, George. And those of you that don't know his entire background, George did several different things before this. He did e-commerce. That's why he's partnered with me for the product launch. He'd had a software company, which he sold. You guys can tell the caliber of individual that this man is just based on the view behind him. You can see the beautiful ocean from the 81st floor of Panorama Tower in Miami, Florida. So thank you very much for George and really the vision that we're building together over the course of the next couple of years. This is not something that came as a quick money grab for me. This is something that is a long-term play as we build on an ecosystem that's going to help mobile detailers not only get to their first $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, but how do we get into a shop now with 100X Detail, and what Brandon's doing. This coming week, Wednesday, I'm flying out along with some of the top members like Vincent Caruso, Braden, Stacy, who's here, Jack Tahar, who just joined, who are already doing over $25,000, $30,000 per month, to go into what do the playbooks look like, what do the strategy look like to get a mobile detailing van alongside that shop going as well, so we can cross that first 50, that first $100,000 month. And then as we start to check that off the to-do list, the question's then going to become, okay, how do we help some of you guys that are those top members figure out how to franchise? Maybe you don't want to franchise. Maybe you want to have the one detailing business, but you want to move into personal brand and you want to build a product. So like Vincent has talked about like a utility belt for mobile detailers that has, all of the space you need to put everything on it. All of the resources that you guys need to grow, not only in your existing detailing business right now, but to capitalize on opportunity throughout the longevity of your stay in this industry, which has loads of opportunity. Because once again, it won't be replaced by AI, like George said. All of that is going to be found within Drivenly the next few years. So those of you that are joining now, even as we cross that 200 member mark, you're still part of the Founders crew because this is a lifelong project. The premise of tonight's mastermind is how to leverage your detailing business to create your dream life and be in the top 1% of Americans, right? So we understand that most Americans, like literally every single person in this country, has almost no savings, they make almost no money, they have almost no freedom based on the way they've positioned their life. So how can we leverage a detailing business to give the exact life setup that you want as a single guy between the ages of 18 to 25? Some of you guys are a little bit older, this is still gonna apply to you, but it's specifically with people in that demographic in mind. Okay, so we're reverse engineering the math of knowing that most Americans, 60% don't even have a single dollar in retirement savings. 80% of Americans have less than $1,000 to their name in terms of liquid assets once debt's removed. Most Americans they're saving between 3 and 5% of their income. All of these things just show the bleak state for the country and most people. And we're gonna show you exactly what the math looks like going down one of two paths to create that dream life. Now, I posted on my Instagram story earlier today that the dream life is gonna be about $15,000 a month or $180,000 per year in profit. Okay, we're going to be breaking down the exact numbers that your business needs to do in order to profit that amount of money. That's the example. I'd love for you guys to make more than $180,000 per year in profit, but $180,000 a year in profit is going to afford you the exact lifestyle that I'm living right now while still being able to put away over 50% of my income every single month into savings and investment vehicles so that I'm continue to compound my wealth as my business grows. Because your business is ultimately that vehicle to build wealth. You might not want to be in the detailing industry for the rest of your life. So let's make sure that we maximize our stay here as you begin your entrepreneurship journey and use this as a launching point going into the future. Now, the dream life is simple. It's not just about you. It's about providing for the people closest to you while having fun. We can all agree that every time we watch any content from these social media influencers that maybe have like an agency business or they have a dropshipping business, a lot of times the content that they're posting is very flashy, it's very self-centered, it's very me. Type a 1 in chat if you know what I mean, that pretty much everybody is just me. Here's how much money I can make. Exactly. Everybody's very self-centered. The thing that I loved about the blue collar industry as soon as I got into it, and I chose detailing, which is just one of many facets of blue collar, is blue collar business cares about people. It was blue collar people that elected the president that we have today because they care about hardworking people, okay? Blue collar people care about the people in their town because they're locked into their town. Their business is in their town. If you screw over people local to you, your neighbor, your neighbor's neighbor, your neighbor's grandma, if you screw over those people, you're not going to have a business. If you're drop shipping some shitty product from China that you found on Temu, you can do that from any place in the world. If your neighbor starts to not like you, you move to another place. If you're in the blue collar industry, you have to care what your neighbors think about you. Your reputation matters, and that leads to neighbors helping neighbors. Every time you see a natural disaster occur in a major city in the US, who comes to help? It's not just the nationwide charities. And most of the time, the federal government and all the things that they have to provide oftentimes falls flat and never does what the people need. It's businesses. Businesses that give up their resources to make an impact in their community. Businesses that sponsor charities. Businesses that work with churches. Businesses that work with resource centers. That is why I love the blue collar industry. Now, practically, what does this look like? You have to be able to pay for your own bills in order to overflow into others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Very simple analogy. You need financial freedom. You need to be able to overflow into paying for others' bills and having nice things for yourself. That's the dream life. I want to be able to give, and I also want to have. I want both. I'm not completely selfless. The best entrepreneurs are usually about 30 to 40% selfless, 60 to 70% selfish. If you're not overwhelmingly selfish, like if you're not a little bit more than 50% selfish, you won't succeed because you'll always throw your own needs below others, and then you'll never end up being productive. You have to be a little bit selfish, a little bit more selfish than you are selfless in order to actually get anything done, but it is important to have a selfless bone in your body. But you also want to have long-term investments and savings. That way you're able to make long-term decisions. I say this all the time. The biggest pitfall that you can fall into in entrepreneurship is being in a situation where you're worried about next month's bills. If you right now on May 25th are worried about the 1st of June, that's what, 6-7 days away, you're making decisions to maximize the amount of money that you make in 6-7 days. Now, on the worst case scenario, you could screw somebody over because you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get this ceramic coating booked in. I'm going to go ahead and do an $800 ceramic coating. I'm going to rush it quick. That way I can get to another job, whatever, so I can pay the bills. Okay, that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you might just end up taking like really crappy jobs that are not paying what they should. And then you're spending your time on things that don't advance your entrepreneurship journey. They just get money in the short term so you can pay next month's bills. We need long-term investments and savings. And then also you got to ball out once in a while. Time and location freedom. You need your business to allow you to not only have the money to go ball out every once in a while, but also the time to ball out every once in a while. If you're always tied to your location and you can't go piss off for 1 to 2 weeks at a different location, then you are not free. You're a slave to your business the same way you'd be slave to a 9-to-5 job. So how do we carefully craft this reality together through just a detailing business? Let's go next. Let's see. Here's what my life setup looks like right now, okay? $2,800 a month is rent that I just signed Monday last week, moved in, had the place for a week, absolutely love it. You can see some just nice pictures here. It's a very nice apartment, brand new, only ever had like 30 people living in the building. They've only been leasing it for 2 months. I'm the first one to ever move in here. It's very nice, probably one of the nicest apartments in this area. I'm in North Austin, so I'm about 15-20 minutes away from downtown, very close to everything I want to be close to, very good area. I got a Range Rover. This little guy here, the silver one, is my small range, $600 a month. I spend about $1,000 a month in groceries to buy very quality organic food that allows me to fuel my brain to make good decisions at all times and always have good energy. I'm not eating shitty food. And I'm also paying for my parents' dream cars. It costs about $1,500 a month. Mom has a full-size Range Rover, dad has a Raptor. I bought all 3 of those vehicles used. I'm not stupid enough to buy brand new vehicles, even though the Range Rovers do take a massive depreciation, not the most reliable. I'm not quite dumb enough to buy them brand new. So I'm paying for both of my parents' vehicles, allowing them to not only drive, they're dream cars. My dad's wanted a Raptor for like 10 years ever since they came out. Mom's wanted a full-size Range for a long time as well. But I'm also able to reduce financial stress. Now they don't have a car payment. They had car payments on their past cars, which were not nearly as good as these. So now I'm taken care of. They don't have to worry about that, and they also get to drive a nice car. I spent about $5,900 a month in bills. Okay, total, just out the door, stuff that has to get spent every month to keep up with what I've got. I'm rounding that up to about $7,000 a month because I spend about $1,000 to $1,200 a month on just general lifestyle, being out and about, getting food, eating with friends, going to the movies, whatever I want to do. I'm able to save and invest $8,000 a month at minimum. My base salary per month is $15,000 a month. We've got big months like this one, paid myself $65,000. But my base salary every single month is $15,000. Now, those of you that know me and know my journey know that I have other businesses as well. Obviously, Driven Elite makes me money. You guys all know how much you paid to be here. I've got a marketing company, which I own 25% of. That pays me a little bit of money. But I'm going to show you exactly how you can get $15,000 realistically squeezed out of just a detailing business. But the lifestyle that you see me living is financed off of that $15,000. Half of it is financed off of that $15,000. The other half always goes into savings or investments. 50% of your income every single month, if you can make it happen, should go into savings. The reason why is because one of the biggest principles for financial success is understanding that money has no value. The only value money has is that it's a stored value of the time it takes you to acquire it and the time it takes you to spend it. Write that down. Money is a stored value of the time it takes you to acquire it and the time it takes you to spend it. So if I'm able to only spend half of my minimum per month and put the other half away, that means every single month I'm earning 2 months worth of my life. I could work every other month and take a month off at a time and not have a problem financially. Now, my other businesses, that's Driven Elite, that's Grow Your Detail, that's 100X Detail, which we just launched with Brandon. That income that comes in goes into savings or investings. Long-term financial future does not contribute to my lifestyle at all. Now, maybe I go on a trip for one of those companies and then I business expense off nice meals. That doesn't come out of my personal, it comes out of company. But for the most part, like 80-90% of the lifestyle that I live is financed off of that $15,000 a month. So I'm not bullshitting you when I tell you you can live the same life that I live. Okay, what you're gonna need to replicate. If you want to use the 50% rule, which I think is ridiculously smart, it automatically puts you in the top 0.5% of American people because literally nobody is able to save and invest more than like 20, 30% of what they take home. I'm telling you to do 50%. Total monthly salary needs to be about $15,000, okay? You can achieve this in one of two ways. Your detailing business can either do $18,000 a month solo at about 80% margin. I'm gonna break down what that looks like. Or if you wanna actually have a company, because a solo detailer is not a company, that's still a hustle, okay? But if you wanna have a company, run about 30% margin, $45,000 per month is gonna allow you to pay yourself about $15K per month. Now, as I break down these numbers, those of you that are seeming like you're so far away from that finish line that I'm trying to outline to you, one, I'm here to shatter those limiting beliefs by giving you the practical math and showing you how in reach it is. But two, I wanna also let you know that if you're not quite there yet, still try to follow that 50% rule. If that means moving back in with your parents, if that means getting rid of a car payment and buying a cash car. I was with my girlfriend's family a couple of weeks ago, and her grandma has an old Toyota Echo in the garage, like a 2003. Thing's probably worth $800. It's a Toyota. It's gonna run for another 20 years. You can go buy a crappy cash car if you need to. If you guys are living past that 50% rule, strategize after tonight's call or tomorrow morning and try to figure out if there's a way that you can get your monthly life expense into that box of half of what you take home. And keep it that way until you get yourself to this point. Because the lower those monthly bills are every single month, the easier it's going to be to hit those big numbers. And the reason why is because you're no longer worried about short-term cash, you're only focusing on the long-term destination. The more short-term decisions you make, the harder it is to achieve that long-term goal. So as you look at that long-term goal, try to minimize the amount of short-term stress you're going to face. Now, quick touch point with you guys, since I just did a bunch of yapping. How many of you type a 2 in chat if you want to be a solo detailer making $18,000 per month. Type a 3 in chat if you want to be a company making $45,000 a month. You take home the same amount, okay? So there's nothing wrong with either. You're gonna take home $15K per month regardless. The only difference is solo detailer, easier to get there, less daily stress. $45,000 a month company, you have less time that you have to work, but there's more stress because there's more people relying on you. So we're going 2 if you want to be that solo company, or 3 if you want to be that full-time like big ballin' company. Everybody's saying 3. Okay, you guys are smart. If you said 2, I'd probably kick you out. I'm just kidding. Timeless Mobile Detail says 2 for the next 2 months. That's totally respectable. Jeffrey, 2 as well. Most of you guys are saying 3. Amazing. Okay. So in order to replicate that, here's what the solo operator is going to look like. We're going to go through that path, then we're going to go down the path of being a full proper company, which Brandon's going to help me explain as well, because he's currently doing about $120,000 per month, running at about 30% margin. For a solo operator, this is super within reach, okay? Solo operator making $18,000 a month in revenue can be accomplished in 90 days of starting a detailing business. 100% guarantee you. As long as you're not in a tiny, crappy town, it's totally doable. Even if you are, I have people that I've worked with that are in a tiny, crappy town that drive 45 minutes away to a larger city to make their details happen every single day, and they cross $20,000 per month. So you're gonna have less daily stress, not in terms of less daily workload, but less daily stress. There's less decisions to make. It's a lot more of a steady, sustainable pace. Higher margin. You're not threading the needle every single month with a massive overhead every single day. Quicker to achieve that dream life. Now, your cons are it's going to be physically demanding. Probably no one wants to be detailing cars till they're 60. You have a lower ceiling, less growth because you don't have systems and employees in place. You're probably going to find it very difficult to get to $25,000 per month. Probably the most you can do as a solo detailer that's realistic is between $20 and $25K per month. I don't know if I've met a solo detailer that makes more than $25,000 per month. You're also doing everything yourself. Now, here's what the expenses are going to look like. I'm going to break down how realistic this is. I did $15,000 a month in revenue as a solo detailer in summer of 2023. I don't think I ever did $18,000 a month in revenue as a solo detailer. I think I probably did about $16K. Once I hired my first employee, that quickly went up to $20,25. Now, you're going to be able to do $15K a month in profit off of $18K per month in revenue, max spending of about $3K. Here's what that's going to look like. You're running the ads yourself, $1,800 a month at about 10x ROAS. 10x return on ad spend, if you're only trying to hit $18,000 per month, is very, very realistic. The higher your revenue goal is, the more ads you're going to have to spend. Your ROAS is going to be lower. That's called the law of diminishing returns. As you try to shoot for those bigger numbers, you're going to have to spend more in proportion to what you're shooting for. But at $18K per month, $1,800 a month in ad spend, 10x ROAS, Totally doable. You're doing that yourself. You're cutting out the middleman. You're going to have to learn how to run Google ads, meta ads, or you could just make it as simple as possible and just run local service ads because those are honestly the easiest to run. Now, your van's going to cost you about $350 a month. Please, for the love of God, if you have decent credit, finance the van. Don't tie up $15,000 to $20,000. Keep that in savings because savings allows you to make what? Long-term decisions. Because when you look at a big expense coming up, you go, oh my gosh, I can't afford that. Oh wait, yes, I can. I got savings over there. Add some level of peace of mind so you can always look to the long-term future instead of trying to figure out how to get a quick cash grab. $200 a month, gas and insurance, chemicals, $200 a month, software subscriptions, miscellaneous, $200 a month. All right, you're at less than $3,000 per month on this model here. $2,750 per month in expenses. If you're starting a detailing business today, you can achieve this in 90 days. If your business is already doing $5,000 to $7,000 per month, you can do this in 60 days. If you're already doing $10,000 per month, you can do this in 30 days. The only leverage that you'll need to pull is figuring out how to run ads. Sucks to run them by yourself. I recommend every single person have a reputable company take care of them for you, but you can do it yourself. Local service ads, pretty easy to learn. Google ads, decently easy to learn. Google has a lot of tools that makes it easy to run those things. Website, you can build that yourself and just run ads to it, etc. This is not the optimal path. This is playing on easy mode. But I'm going to tell you right now, easy mode, very doable. Okay, now we're looking at company pros and cons. Pros of a company, less daily time. Brandon, if you wanted to walk away from your $120,000 a month detailing company today and just do the absolute bare minimum, how many hours per day or per week do you think you'd have to work to do bare minimum?
Probably my 2.5 hours of morning meetings in the morning, and then any sort of like 30 minutes like overview of the business, just checking numbers like that. So 15 hours a week.
15 hours a week to do 120 grand a month. Now, after you've already built it there, I mean, when you were in that building phase, Brandon, peak building, how many hours a week do you think you were grinding out?
550.
Still actually not that much. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Because you were smart with your time.
But also too, you know, I was like, the amount of time that I put in now is the less amount of time that I put in later. So like I had astronomical results because I put all the time on the front end. So I could have done 30 hours per week and it would have taken me 6 months to get to the 90K a month. But I just did like 50, 60 hours and in 90 days we had 90K.
Okay. That's somebody right there that decided from day one they wanted a company and they skipped the bullshit phase of just detailing by themselves. More growth potential, scale. You can pass $25,000 a month if you have a company. You can do $120K a month. You can do $500K a month. Just depends how long you want to be in business. Now, cons, more daily stress. Brandon, give some examples of some daily stress you've had to deal with in the last 2 weeks. I know a lot of shit's been going on.
Yeah, I mean, just recently this past week, you know, sales guy ended up quitting on Monday. This week, mainly just with holidays and lead flow and things like that. You know, we just brought in a new CMO. We have like, I think it was Tuesday last week. Usually I like the rule of thumb a week out. I like to have at least 10,000 on the next week. And we had like $3,000 on the week, right? We just had a salesperson quit. We're changing marketers. Our lead flow is different and things like that. And I have, you know, 4 employees to make sure that I have bills. Like I have a $80,000 a month payment that I have to pay for my marketing, for my payroll, for my rent, for my employees, like everything that I have to pay for, all the supplies. I have $80,000 and I have $3,000 on the following week. Like, yeah, that's pretty stressful. You know, we had to repaint a door on a truck because, you know, one of the guys, we just have so many moving pieces and we're moving so fast and the guy burns through on a door, you know, and it's like, now I have to repaint this dude's truck. It's just one door, but it's still something that like I don't want to have to deal with, but it comes at volume that it's like, okay, a $600 fix for whenever we're pumping out, you know, consistently about $5,000 a day. It's like, okay, like it is what it is, you know? So there's lots of factors, you know, especially once you get to that level, even just managing, you know, 2 guys at $45,000 a month, like there is stress that goes into it because these people are basing their lives off of you. Like if you, like most of these guys that are going to be working for us are going to be working paycheck to paycheck. And if we don't bring in jobs and they don't get their 40 to 50 hours per week, they go hungry and you're taking food off of their table. And if you're taking food off of their table, they're going to go look somewhere else for a position. And that's stressful once you find good people.
Yeah, absolutely. So Here's what $45,000 a month is going to look like roughly, and then I'll have Brandon break down what his monthly looks like at about $80,000 a month they have to spend. All right, so if your target is $15,000 per month in profit, it means your max spending is going to need to be about $30,000 a month. What I've worked out here is a little over $30,000 per month. A lot of these things are going to push and pull. They're going to give and take depending on your business. You're going to be spending a little bit more here, a little bit less here. Rough numbers, you can check it on your own based on what you know about your business at scale, multiply it out. I encourage every single person to do financial forecasting at least once every 30 days. 2 guys, labor, top expense, $22 an hour. Push them to work between 50, 55 hours per week because you're probably going to want them working Saturdays, or you're going to push them for longer days, 5 days a week, give them Saturdays and Sundays off, but they're going to be working 10, 11 hour days. Now, you're looking at about $10,000 a month in payroll. Okay, that accounts for a half and a pay time and a half for overtime of those 10 to 15 hours per week additional per person. Ad spend in order to get about $45,000 a month. What I've budgeted in here is about $7,500 a month. Those of you that are scared to spend more money on ads are not going to grow. BT dubs. Some of you already are probably terrified out the ass to spend $1,800 a month on ads. Some of you that's like, whoa, that's a lot. $7,500 a month is probably very daunting for you. You're not going to grow unless you get over that fear. Saving money on marketing is probably the dumbest place to save money. Fire your employee that's lagging behind. Don't get rid of marketing. Now, once again, law of diminishing returns, like I mentioned earlier, proves that as you shoot for those bigger numbers, you're going to have to spend more in proportion to that number. So a 10x ROAS at $45,000 a month as your target revenue is going to be significantly less realistic than 10x ROAS on $1,800 a month trying to hit $18K per month. 6x ROAS seems very, very reasonable at this scale. I've proven it out in my own business there. All right, safety and savings net. Or savings and safety net, you're going to want to put about $8,000 a month minimum of your company profit every single month into a company bank account that you're not pulling for yourself. If you're a solo operator, your savings, you can pull from that to spend some company stuff. That needs to be completely separate once you're a company. You need to have a savings nut that you're building every single month that's going to be able to take care of those larger expenses that happen. Maybe you have, some payroll. Maybe you've got a day or two out of the week that is not generating you the revenue that you want, but you have to pay for that full day. Maybe you have a fire that happens with one of the vans. You have a problem with the van. You got to go. I had a $4,600 repair bill that I had to pay last month on one of my vans. That sucked. If I didn't have company savings, that would have been a problem. Now, also, since you're running it as a company, you're not going to want to run $7,500 a month with ad spend by yourself. $2K a month is very realistic to have to spend on management or an agency, a quality one, not some crappy one that's outsourcing all of their stuff to a VA in the Philippines. Any quality agency, about $2K per month to manage about $7,500 a month in ad spend. So your total marketing cost per month is going to be just shy of 10 grand in order to hit 45K. That's scary for a lot of you. I'm telling you, that's what it actually looks like. $1,500 a month is what I have accounted for in chemicals, because in order to do 45K per month, 2 vans, you're going to be doing a lot of ceramic coatings. Everybody knows coating bottle more expensive than soap. Okay, 2 vans, $700 a month, $350 a month payment for each. By the way, a $350 a month van payment, my van payment for my second van is $349 a month, so almost exactly. It was a $22,000 van that I put $2,000 down, and I got a decent interest rate. Not a crazy good interest rate, decent. $400 a month, insurance and gas, software subscriptions, you're able, go high level, etc. $500 a month. Okay, so you're looking at about $30K per month in expenses. But you have the ability to leave your business for 1-2 weeks, it still runs. You also have the ability to scale and go 15 hours per week if you want to on a given week, 10 hours per week if you want to. Push really, really hard if you want to and get that sucker up to 100K per month by opening a shop because you already have systems in place. Brandon, can you break down what that 80K per month nut looks like and break down what a realistic profit margin is going to look like if your shop is doing between 100 and 120K per month? Now, I know that you guys recently have done a big push and you've been less profitable than if you were to really tweak some of the levers. So what does it look like right now? And then if you were optimized in 6 months, same revenue, but optimize the expenses, how much do you think you'd be profiting?
Yeah, absolutely. So of course, first cost for me is going to be my monthly rent. So we spend $5K a month on our rent. And then in terms of labor's usually always the biggest cost. We have 1 salesperson, 4 techs. We have a virtual assistant for operations, as well as a virtual assistant for our CRM specialist. So per month, we usually spend about $10K a week. So it's about $40,000 a month in labor. Our chief marketing officer, which is my in-house person, he's a fractional CMO. He works usually about 20 hours a week on our marketing. He's $8,000 a month. We spend about 15,000 on marketing. About 12,000 of it's on Facebook and Instagram, pushing our meta ads and for ceramic coating, and then about 3,000 is on Google local service, and then just generic Google ads. We spend about $10,000 in supplies, ceramic coatings, chemicals, things like that. Insurance for the business. It's usually like 500 for our like business insurance, and then usually like 300 for the van, and then a couple $100 for like workers' comp. And then we have 2,000 in tech. My CRM is about 1,500 a month, and then we usually spend about 200 in your able, $100 for the phone, X, Y, and Z. And then we have usually 100 or about 1,000 that's miscellaneous, so like gas, mess ups, any like last minute stuff that we have to buy. I usually budget like 1,000 to 2,000 a month for that. So that's the breakdown of $81,000 a month. Our two biggest costs are going to be 40,000 in labor and then 15,000 in marketing. And I'm all offensive on marketing. Like I tell my marketer all the time, I'm like, dude, if I have to spend $5,000 more right now, I will spend it. Like that is the key lever to scaling. Like, yes, we have to have the foundation in place. We have to have the people to do the work. But the reason why I grew so freaking fast was because I literally just took my marketing dial and I turned it all the way up. And I was not scared to throw money at it, because if you have your marketing dialed in and if you put more money into it, more people are going to see you. The more exposure you have, the more leads you have come in, the more phone calls you get, the more deals you close, the more cars you detail, the more money you make. That's it, guys. It's literally that simple. Like whenever you're playing defense with your business, like that's whenever you feel like you're in a fight. Right? You feel like you're in a fight to make more money. You feel like you're in a fight to make more leads. Well, guys, money is an energy. Like if you think of a faucet and you think of the water being money, if you're trying to constrict that flow, money can't go out and money also can't come in. But if you let it go, money will flow, guys. So become offensive in your business. The more that you put out and invest into your company, like you guys know the saying, what you put in is what you get out. So if you're worried about spending $30 a day, you're going to get $30 a day results. And guys, I spend, what is that? $500 a day in marketing. Like guys, let's be real. Like we got to become offensive in the business and stop being scared to spend money. If you guys actually want to grow, you guys have to put your money in marketing. Like if nobody can see you, nobody's going to buy from you guys. So that's my 2 cents on it. But that's my breakdown of $80,000 a month in expenses. And like I said, it's pretty freaking stressful whenever you have $5,000 in the books and you're a week out from the jobs happening, and you're usually spending on average about $20,000 a week, and you have 5,000 on the books. It's like, holy shit, how are we going to survive? How are we going to float? But then we crushed it, and now I have about 16,000 on the books for next week, and we'll fill it up, and it'll come up to 25, 30. You just guys have to believe, number one, the input that you're putting in is going to be the results that you get. And number two, God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And as long as you guys put those two things first, dude, everybody's going to crush it. Everybody's going to make money this summer. This is the time to make money. Like this is our best time and easiest time to make money. And everybody thinks that marketing is a scam, and that's why nobody else in our markets are marketing. To where now I've literally set the trend in my market for marketing, and every other day I see somebody popping up an ad that I used 6 months ago. It's like, bro, I already burned out that ad, right? You guys start to become the trendsetters, and then all of your competitors start to do things that are already burned out and you've already used, and all your customers have already seen it. Like I used to get so frustrated. I'd be like, why is everybody using the same ad that I used? But now I'm like, dude, I've already reaped all the benefits from that. It doesn't matter because I've already set that trend. I've already used that, dude. It's like the new style. It's like whatever the new cool t-shirt is. And then all of a sudden somebody gets it 6 months after you. It's like, bro, the trend's gone, right? It's like, that's what we want to build. It's like, once you guys get to a point where you guys can be trendsetters in your market and spending $15,000, like if you guys don't think I'm spending the most amount of money on marketing in my market, you guys are crazy. But that's also why I'm one of the biggest companies here in my market 12 months later after we pop up. Open doors. People who had no idea who we were 12 months ago because we were non-existent to where now every single person in this market knows about me, and we have about 1 million people in Charleston. That's how you guys create market dominance.
Big.
So if you guys don't get anything from this, which there's so much value here, become offensive in your business and you guys will grow.
And also think about how scared you are and think about what you're scared of. And then go ahead and do a thought experiment, extrapolate that out and say, all right, how many detailers are in my market? Go on Google, boom. Okay, 25, holy shit, that's a lot, 25 people, it's a lot. Extrapolate out, say, okay, my mentality, my fear is their fear. And then stop being afraid and do. And then now you're the only doer in a room full of people that are worrying and are afraid. You're going to get the best results. Competition is going to be non-existent when you have that level of fearlessness and your market is not. There's no need to worry about competition when you cross that threshold. Now, before we move on, since there is so much going down here, you guys have probably been so engrossed in this presentation, go ahead, if you haven't already, get your phone out, get a post going, at Driven Elite, at Hud Archer, whatever, boom, tag me there. I'm serious. We need to have that happening every single week. The amount of stuff that I'm doing for you guys for what you've paid to be here is exponentially above that monetary value. Do me the favor, boom, pump something out on Instagram. Do you have something to say, Brandon?
Yeah, I want to add something. So back on my note about the marketing, right? As soon as Jesse enrolled into 100x detail, right, we did a full analyzation on his whole business, right? What his lead flow was, what his cost per lead was, what he's closing, everything. We did a full breakdown analysis as soon as he got an 100x detail. We broke down his business, and then come to find out his main bottleneck was lead flow. And it's like, guys, these things that we think are so complex are actually, I've made them so simple to like, guys, if you guys have a sales problem, we have to identify, is it actually our sales process or is it our lead flow, right? And we identified his sales process was amazing. It was his lead flow. And we just had to go more offensive on marketing. Guys, as soon as we did that, he literally texted me 2 days later. He's like, dude, I just closed it. And we raised his prices. Dude, I just closed a $1,500 ceramic. He closed on one job, what he does 10% per month from number one, increasing prices, but number two, also becoming offensive on his marketing. So that just goes to show you guys that you don't know what an extra $10, $20, $30 per day is going to do for you that could bring you guys a massive job. Like, you know, sometimes on Google, I'm like, it's not working. And then all of a sudden I get like a $3,000 job. And I'm like, okay. Sales is a numbers game, guys. That's all businesses is a numbers game. You're going to get a no. And then you're going to get a big yes. Or you're going to get yes, no. And then you'll just continue running off of that. So you guys have to become offensive in your business. Please become offensive in your business. If you guys actually want that owner-operator mindset of you own the business and you have 2 guys that are doing all the work for you. Because if you guys want A players inside of your business, you have to be an A player. And an A player is not a scared player. I promise you guys that. An A player is not a scared player. Someone who's scared to make moves inside of the business is not an A player. And A players want to work for A players. So you guys want the best employees. It's like you guys also have to be the best business owner. If you guys want somebody who wants to grow within your business, you guys have to want to grow the business exponentially.
Yeah.
That's all I have, guys.
Absolutely. Amazing. This dude. Okay, general principles for success. Let's start with our stats. Most Americans, they're saving less than 5% per month. They're investing less than 6% per month. The average American, total 11%. They're not even doing 11% of putting money away or making it grow. 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to paycheck means you're relying on the next paycheck to pay the bills for next week. That's really bad. That shouldn't be normal. Do you realize how that should not be normal? You should not be worried about next month's bills. You should not be worried about next week's bills. The amount of people that are worried about next week's bills is genuinely a terrifying thought. Those are the people that when you go to the grocery store, that's what's on their mind. How on earth can you become an elite operator inside of a business, inside of your life? Maybe you don't even have a business. Maybe the people in the grocery store, they're all 9-to-5ers. Most of them are. How can you be an elite operator in your 9-to-5 that's going to get promotion after promotion? How can you be an elite operator when you go home to your family, your wife and kids if you're worried about next week's bills? How can you be an elite husband, an elite father, and an elite employee if you're worried about next week's bills? That should not be normal. And I understand a lot of things are outside of people's control, but let's take control of what we can. The average American is also taking about 2.5 vacations per year, but those vacations are 2 days average. That's going to look like a 3-hour road trip over to one place, getting a small Airbnb that might be just a quick flight over, cheap stuff. Okay, so how do we become the top 1%? Here's a couple of just simple principles that you should start using as you grow your business, because the business is the vehicle. How we manage the business's money is how we actually build wealth. You can have a business that makes $200,000 per month, but if you're not managing your wealth appropriately, it's going to be gone. It's going to dry up. The mentality that I have during this next 3 years of my life, I told my girl this the other day. The mentality I have right now is imagine that I only have 3 years to make money. And then the rest of my life, I have to live off of what I make for the next 3 years. If that was actually what was going to happen, how would I manage my finances? So that's the mentality I want you guys to start having right now. What can we do next 3 years if we thought that the next 3 years were the only opportunity we had to make money, we had to live off of that rest of our life? One, money is the stored value of the time it takes you to both earn and spend it. If you make $5,000 per month, you might be richer than somebody that makes $50,000 per month. Let me explain. $50K per month person, if they're spending $45,000 per month on lifestyle and only saving $5K per month, it would take them 10 months to put 1 month worth of their life, or 9 months to put 1 month worth of their life in the bank. If you make $5K per month and you spend $2,500 total life expense, maybe your life's not as extravagant. For every 1 month that you work, you have 2 months worth of expenses. You put an extra in the bank. In that 9 months, you're going to end up putting another 9 months in the bank. Compared to that one person, they have to work 9 months to put 1 month in the bank. Money does not equate wealth. The amount of freedom that you have with said money equates wealth. You can be more rich than somebody today if you make less money than them just based on how it is moved. Also, debt's your friend if leveraged appropriately. Once again, off of that first thesis, if money is a stored value of the time it takes you to earn and spend it, $20,000 in the bank, if you spend $2,500 a month, is worth what? That's over 10 months worth of your life, or a little less than 10 months worth of your life in the bank. I would rather have 10 months worth of my life in the bank than a van paid for in cash. $350 a month of a van payment is better than spending $20K on the van. If you have the ability to leverage debt for something that's going to produce you income, do it. Do it. Because $20K in the bank says what? Says, you know what? I can afford to screw up for a couple months in a row and I'm going to be fine. Let me test that new idea and see if it works. Oh, it didn't work? Not stressed. I can still think long term. If you save about 30% of what you make and invest 20%, that's going to be really solid. Some people are going to go ultra conservative. They're going to say, you know what, 50% of what I make, savings, cash, savings. Or they're going to say, you know what, let me split this up 50-50. Some of it I'm going to save, some of it I'm going to invest. My personal strategy right now, my goal was to have a certain amount in the bank before I started investing again. I've lost over 6 figures in crypto in the last 12 months. I said, you know what, we're going to take a break from that. So I said, you know what, I'm going to have this amount in the bank before I start investing again. I just put that amount in the bank. Then I spent $25,000 on furniture and moved out. So I've got that amount in the bank now, plus paid for my move-in in cash. I didn't finance my furniture. I thought that was going to be retarded. Financing furniture sounds really brain dead. So anyways, I put that amount in the bank, bought my furniture, got everything squared away, got my move-in squared away. Now next month is when I'm going to say, you know what, let's start investing again. And I've been putting like 10% of my monthly in investments in the meantime because I didn't want to like not invest anything. But now I'm going to be more aggressive with my investment strategy because I know that I now have 8 months worth of my life in the bank. Okay, track everything as well. You should have a very simple spreadsheet built out that says, you know what, here's how much has to go out every single month. And then here's my little budget for, you know, the weekly things that I might buy here and there. Okay, that's very basic advice. Dave Ramsey can tell you that stuff. All right. Here's the deal, bro. Let's go back. Let's see. I don't know why. Let's see.
What up?
Last slide real quick.
Dude, who wants to make more than $45,000 a month? I want to know, guys, if you want to make more than $45,000 a month, I want to see who wants to make more than $45,000.
Yeah, type 45,000 chat, whatever, if you want to make more than $45K per month.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
If you make $15,000 per month.
Everybody wants to make more than $45K.
If you make more than if you make $15K per month and you save and invest 50% or more, travel 2 to 4 times per year for 5 to 7 days at a given time because your business is running back home, you're in the top 1%. 180K a year puts somebody in the top 8% of earners in the US. If you save over 50%, that's already going to put you in the top 1 to 2% by savers. And then you add travel on top of that, you're top 1%. Top 1 to 2% of savers and investors, top 5 to 8% of income, and then top 10% of vacationers. All together, 1%. That's how you become top 1% American based on your detailing business. And I broke in exactly what those numbers are going to look like. Brandon came in, he said, you know what? The biggest lever to actually get you there is what? Marketing. And not being afraid to spend money on marketing. And understanding that everybody else is afraid to spend money on marketing. Let's go for questions. One in chat if that was valuable. Was that valuable? Amazing. Amazing. I'm very glad that people want to make more than $45,000 per month.
The American dream, baby.
The American dream. Amazing. All right, let's go questions. What I'll do for questions is let's put a 2 in chat if you want to ask a question. We'll go one by one. Now, I'll do Tony's real quick since you did just type it up. What do you save and invest in? Savings account, investment types. My savings account, bro, is just savings account through Chase Bank. Very minimal monthly return. Don't think of what the best savings account is going to be because, like, bro, savings accounts are going to give you, like, literally no return on your money. The bank, if you guys knew how banks work, you would be absolutely appalled. I can tell you how banks work real quick. They take your money, they invest it for you, they take the risk for you that you're afraid to take, and then whenever you say, hey, give me some money, they say, you know what? We'll give you a little bit of that money, but the rest is still in an investment generating us income. That's how banks work. If you knew how fractional reserve banking worked, you'd be terrified. You'd stop using banks almost altogether. You'd have most of your money in other places. If you know how that worked, but you probably don't. Do some research. Now, investments, a couple things. I have what's called a financial advisor. It's called a fiduciary financial advisor, which means they're not incentivized the way a stockbroker is. The way stockbrokers are incentivized is not the best. I can't explain exactly how that works because I'm not a financial expert, but I have what's called a fiduciary, which means their income is based on your stuff performing well, not on them selling a certain stock. So I have a fiduciary, and I put between $2,000 to $3,000 a month in just a very simple account that is like medium risk. So I don't have a lot of low risk investments. In my mind, the lowest risk thing I can do is just put money in the bank. Even though that is kind of high risk, because like what happens if the dollar crashes or whatever, people have that mentality sometimes. So I've got a fiduciary who just puts a little bit away every single month. I don't have to worry about it. I check it and it goes up. Beyond that, crypto, I made a lot of money in crypto at one point. I just didn't cash out at the right time. So that's the difficulty with stuff like crypto. Would I say crypto is an amazing investment vehicle? If you can afford to risk money, 100%. Just don't put next month's rent in crypto. Bitcoin's going to be a very stable asset across time. The asset that I did the best with, other than meme coins, which are a complete gamble, was Solana. I did extremely well with Solana, almost doubled my money over the span of like a 6-month period. The problem was I sold it at the top, doubled my money, and then when it took a 30% dip, I put everything back in because I was like, quick dip, and then it's going to go back up. And then it went down another 50% and I lost 50%. So I was basically at a little bit lower than what I started with. So anyhow, I did fumble quite a bit of a bag over the last 12 months in crypto, but that's what I'm doing right now. There's other vehicles that you can pursue. The most important thing, like people all the time are talking about like, oh, real estate, like these investments. If you want to get into something like that, build a high cash cow business first, because real estate, big capital investment. Have small things that don't take a lot of energy. The biggest like pitfall that I can see entrepreneurs falling into is, oh my gosh, look at this money coming in. How many different things can I do with it? The problem with that mentality is you're never going to get exceptionally good at one thing. Your business is what makes you the most money. Put all of your time into the business. Have a couple things that you don't have to think about. Small research, rely on experts, small stuff. Once your business is at a point where you're making $200K per month, spending 15 hours a week, then you go, you know what? Let's start looking for that real estate property. I want to buy 10 doors. I want to buy Section 8 housing. I want to buy whatever. That's when you can make that decision. So anyhow, Joseph, your question, please.
Yeah, so I joined today. I had a question about what comes next because I was thinking ahead. So after like the Driven Elite program per se has been the mentorship, trying to scale up to, or not trying to, scaling up to $20,000 a month and so on. Is it at that range that you get invited into the next platform or?
It is. It is.
Okay. 'Cause I was going to say, I was like, well, if I could just get to 20,000, pay another 5 to 10 grand and just keep going, I'd love to do that. So
That's what we brought Brandon in for. Yeah, you're already thinking ahead. I love it. We just did the soft launch of 100X Detail, 5 people only, kept it very exclusive. A big part of it is coming to his shop in Charleston. Another big part of it is then coming out to your shop once we help you launch it. So Brandon is the key guy for that. We'll get you there ASAP, Joseph. I think we can do it.
Yeah, and real quick too, just as one of the first ever members of 100X, already within the first month, I've literally went from a hustler to a business owner, and my business has exponentially grown. Like I'm already like I was talking to Hudson, beginning of this call. I'm shooting for 50K in revenue next month, which I didn't even think was possible at all until working with Brandon. And Brandon's been absolutely amazing. You guys heard all the sauce he dropped tonight, but he's constantly giving me even more sauce, inside of his program as well. So just want to give him a quick word on 2 cents on that.
Amazing. Thanks, Vince. Vince is like he's our little test dummy, little guinea pig. He was like one of the first 5 members of Driven Elite as well in February.
Yeah.
Little guinea pig. It seems like it's working.
Just try to stick to it.
I don't think you've been scammed yet, Vincent.
Nah.
Just kidding. Yes, what we are building is here to stay inside the detailing industry 100%. So great question. Adam, go ahead, bro.
Yo, yeah. So you mentioned if you wanted to be a solo operator to like keep your expenses down and stuff. Does going like the money you put towards ad spend, you were saying like you would recommend running ads yourself if you were a solo operator?
If your goal for the rest of your life is to be a solo operator, yes.
I wouldn't say that's my goal, but like in my starting phases of my company I'm on, kind of I feel like it's like a stepping stone,
Yeah. Everybody has to start as a solo operator. The more things you're doing by yourself right now are going to trap you in that solo operator phase. Adam, if you say, you know what, I want to get to that threshold where I've got everything in place and I'm not a solo operator, I would rather your margins be lower now and just keep your bills low in proportion to those lower margins in favor of having more time and not being a slave to those different things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions, boys? Brandon, you have a piece on that.
Yeah, I'd like to throw something on Tony here. So he said he wants to get 1 Section 8 house by the end of the year. Just for everybody, like I think it's a great goal, right? And it depends on what your long-term goals are, right? Like for me, I went through the Section 8 stuff and I was like really wanting to invest into it. And then I realized, I said, okay, 1 Section 8 house, since I've never done it before, it usually takes you 6 to 12 months to really get good at something. So as you're getting into that, let's say you get 1 Section 8 house, you're going to profit $500 a month. You're probably going to spend at least 10 to 15 hours a month, probably managing that just with problems that will occur, things that are going to happen. At that point, if you're spending 40 hours a month on that project, your hourly rate goes down to like $15 an hour, So then, whereas you could have spent that 50 hours or 40 hours on your business and you could have added another $10,000 in revenue per month, So it's just like, if you're going to do one thing, just do it. Because if you're trying to raise 2 graphs, they're slowly going to raise each one, right? Like Section 8 is a good thing. Like I said, you guys can make money doing anything. You guys can get rich in any industry. I met a client the other day that came in, brought me his Porsche 911. He brought me his G-Wagon. He brought me his Ferrari. He literally spent like 10 grand with me. And I was like, bro, what do you do? He was like, oh, I make fabrics for carpets and cars. Like he doesn't make the actual carpet itself. He makes literally the cotton fibers, sells bags of them to the factory, and then they turn it into full carpets. So you guys can literally make money doing anything. So it's like, I would pick one avenue for you guys. And I think, like I said, if that's still what you want to do, bro, I'm not steering you in a direction. I'm just giving you my insight because I get the shiny object syndrome. I make a little bit of money.
We were talking about it today on the phone this morning. Yeah.
We were talking about it today on the phone. I'm like, bro, dude, I see this dude in Miami. He's freaking buying like this shit and that shit. I'm like, dude, I want to start an e-com store. But if my goal is to get my business to $300,000 a month in revenue by the end of this year, how am I going to do that whenever I'm trying to learn e-com and I'm staying up late trying to learn e-com versus, dude, I've already got the leverage in this business. We already have leverage here. So if we've already spent all this time getting leverage here, why are we going to divert another direction, guys? Like, let's figure out how we can add 50 hours into our business this month and add another $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just my input on that. Like I said, we're all going to get shiny object syndrome. There's tons and tons of ways for us to make money. But if we dial in on one thing, because my last detailing business failed because I was trying to make money in real estate and my detailing business. And I was trying to grow both of them. And really only one of them is really going to reap the fruits and reward. And in that case, it was real estate because I was putting more of my time in real estate and I was making $15K a month in real estate, and then my detailing business suffered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I went all into my detailing business and we see what happened.
And just to tack something on top of that I think would be beneficial for you guys to hear. I don't own any real estate, but I'm speaking from the fact that I know people who do, and I've seen their strategy. How you make the most money in real estate is as follows. You buy a property that you can rent out for slightly more than you spend on it. $500 a month profit. You hire a management company for like $350, $400 a month to do it. You're making $100 a month profit, but somebody else is paying your mortgage. And then in 10, 20 years, you've got that mortgage almost completely paid off. And then you sell the house for an increased valuation because real estate goes up over time. So you buy a property for $300,000. Your mortgage on it is $2,500 a month. You rent it out for $3,000 a month. You make it to where you're able to pay it off in 20 years. That property goes up 2x in value. You now sell it for $300,000 in profit that you didn't really have to do anything for over 20 years, whatever. That's how you make money in real estate, is by just having somebody else basically build an investment vehicle for you. They're paying your mortgage from the rent and then for management. So you don't make monthly recurring revenue. Like, you don't ball out off of the payment that somebody makes you every single month for real estate. Very rare. It's by owning that property and having them pay it off for you.
Yeah. Or another way could be, build a cash flowing business where you get to cash flowing, $100,000 a month and you're profiting $30,000 per month. And then, Tony, you're able to buy one Section 8 property per month.
Yeah.
And now you've bought back your time because you have your team. Now you can actually be a player in Section 8. Versus you're always trying to chase, I'm going to buy one property per year.
In 10 years, you'll have 120 doors. 10 years after that, you'll sell them all. That's an 8-figure exit.
Now we're talking real money, guys.
Yeah.
Focus on one thing, scale it, get cash flow. Like, that's what Eric Spofford told me. Whenever I was trying to get into Section 8, Eric Spofford's like, dude, build a cash flowing business. He's like, if I were to start over today, I asked him, I was on his yacht. I said, bro, look, I paid $10,000 for this advice. I said, bro, look, if you were 24 again and you were to restart, what would you do? Would you go straight into Section 8 or what would you do? He said, if I were to restart, I had zero money, I would start a service-based business, pressure washing, lawn care, detailing, something service-based. I would build it up to where it could cash flow me $50,000 profit per month and then start dumping that money every month into real estate. Because then you can actually play versus trying to throw $5,000 in here. Oh, $5,000 in here. It's gonna take you a lot of time.
Yeah, love that. Joseph, you had another question, I believe.
Yeah, so just real quick, listening through the meeting, y'all were talking about essentially the mental not having the connection of money has been with spending marketing. At my current point, being 17 and younger, and having the luxury of my parents not kicking me out of the house when I turn 18. Looking at my plan as far as my stages, would it look a little different? Because I don't really have a connection with money in the sense that if I see a return, for instance, this mentorship didn't really, hesitate me on the cost, even though that is more than half of what I have in the bank because I understand my return on investment. And, I would blow the rest on marketing, if that's what, you being more knowledgeable than me, if that's what you believe would work. So similar to kind of like Brandon's story, I'm not expecting to, make $100,000 in the next year. Even though I have a pretty good cities around me and relatively another luxury of not much competition, they're not really doing that much either. Would a plan for me maybe look different than someone else's?
Is that almost solely predicated on the fact that you said at 18 your parents are going to have you move out?
No, they're not going to
they're
have
not.
me move out.
Oh.
Yeah, so
How is your situation any different, brother? You have like no bills.
exactly. So what I'm saying is like, can my plan almost be accelerated more because
Your plan can look identical to mine. I moved out
Yeah,
last
sure.
week. I did $100,000 in a month combined businesses before I moved out.
Pretty sweet.
I didn't
Would
move
you
out.
accredit that? No, sorry. No, I was just going to say, would you accredit at least some of your success to, not having almost that worry that you had to leave, like you had the ability to almost,
doubt.
in a sense, lose it all to keep growing?
Without a doubt. And even if you're not in that situation, even if like for whatever reason family relationship strained, you can't, hang out there for a while. Bro, I've got a friend that spent $200 a month to live on his brother's couch for like a year while he was building his business. It was an e-com store. That friend, you might have seen him on social media. His name's Luke Belmar. So that's, and I say friend, loose acquaintance. I don't know him that well. But that's a really good example of like there are opportunities and options for that. But yeah, Joseph, 100%. I started my detailing business at 15. At 15, it was like barely anything. I started at 16. I'm almost 19 now, so I'm almost 3 years deep. So if you're starting at 17, by the time you're 20, you can be in the exact same financial situation that I'm in. At 20, that's not bad, bro, at all. Holy shit. It's really good. At 25, that's really good. So you're chilling, bro. You can accelerate as much as you want.
Red Scales enters the chat.
Prez Scales, I think, is 20. I don't know when he started. That's who Brandon was talking about earlier. He's like, I want to start an e-com store because Prez Scales bought a GT3 RS.
Dude, yeah.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
the thing is, guys, is like, yeah, we want to save money, but in the building phase, for me, like, if I have a lot of money in my account, I'm like, okay, where can I put this that's going to make me more money? And I'm not talking about the S&P 500. I'm not talking about things like that. Do I love Ethereum and Bitcoin? Absolutely. I love crypto. It's very, very risky and is not, I'm not a financial advisor by any means, right? I've lost a lot of money in the market. I've made a lot of money in the market. But for me, I see an investment like, like Wade Houston, for instance, right? Like I paid him, $5,000, but that $5,000 made me 50 because of the information and the accountability that I was able to get from that and put that into another position. So I'm always figuring out where can I move funds that I've saved up, because if I can just use my funds as all money is, guys, is a tool. That's all money is just a tool. It's a tool for us to do things we want to do. It's a tool for us to buy things we want to buy. It's a tool for us to invest into our company and invest into ourselves. And the more that you guys are able to invest into yourselves, personally, everything around you becomes to change. Like another thing that I focus on with my guys is like, we focus on building ourselves. Like building a business is not just about business. It's about building the person that runs the business. It's about being that guy that's the A player and does everything 100%, 110%. Because if you guys don't believe how you do anything is how you do everything, right, I'm gonna say that again, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you half-ass in the gym, you're gonna half-ass your business. If you half-ass, showing up to events with your family, you're gonna half-ass your business. So focus on everything you're gonna go 110% on. Focus on developing yourself, showing up, doing what you say you're gonna do, becoming disciplined. I don't expect everybody to wake up at 5, but get some form of exercise each and every day. Like do something that's going to make you better each and every day. Because ultimately, if you can develop yourself, I focus heavy on personal development. And that's why I have the business that I have. Because I developed my person into the person that can run $120,000 a month business, that can manage 6 people. How am I supposed to manage 6 people if I can't even manage myself?
Yeah, 100%.
So focus on using money as a tool to be able to pull levers and to get you where you want to go.
Yep. Let's go question from Kiefer and Oscar, and then I got to run, but I can leave you guys on afterward if you want. Kiefer, go.
I just have a question. I just hired my first marketing team.
Amazing.
What is the first thing I should? I have a meeting with them on Tuesday, but what is the first thing I should tell them to get started on immediately?
Ads.
Ads?
Get specific with the question.
Just Pretty much. What is the top priority thing that they should get started on? Like, is it ads? Is it kind of revamping the website? Like, what is the? It'll probably depend on different factors, but
So the first thing that you have to trust is you hired a marketing agency, therefore they're the expert, not you. So defer to their opinion there. What I would like to see though is if you say, hey, my website needs a revamp. If your website is okay, but it's not that bad, rip ads straight to your website. If you feel like your website's terrible and does like for sure need a revamp, rip ads immediately to just giving you a phone call, just to your phone number, to your business line. While you're having them revamp it. And then from there, what I would do is I would have weekly reports, ask them, hey, I need a weekly report every Monday morning, I need a weekly report to get sent over, and then schedule a meeting with them for 2 weeks out after they start. That way you have 2 weeks worth of data and you can look and say what's working, what's not working. So I would say the biggest thing for you to do is to be on top of them as far as what do the results look like, what do the specific data look like, that way you can make the decision, because ultimately they work for you. And then beyond that, as well as just deferring to their opinion, I would say. If they're good, then they're good. If they suck, then their opinion means nothing and you'll know within 2 weeks. Be very fast to fire. If 2-3 weeks go by, you're not getting what you need, boot, get rid of them, find another one.
all right, thanks, Hudson.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to snag Tony's question first and Oscar's just because we're already chatting with Tony here. But ad spend per day. Mine right now, brother, is 110 and Brandon said his is about $500. And then what's the split? Mine is $60 on Google, 50 on Meta. Brandon, what are you spending split?
I think it's 400 Facebook on Meta and then 100 on Google.
Bingo. Cool. Oscar.
Hey, so I wanted to ask another marketing question. I know Brandon was talking about how you can be aggressive with your marketing and this kind of stuff. Don't be afraid to spend on it. I wanted to ask if you had, when you guys when you were first starting, or maybe even now, if you had to start over again, and do it all again, like you say, in 90 days or 108 days, go back up there. What creative do you think you'd run? What offer would you run? And what do you think your targeting would be? If you just fresh, like you just have your pressure washer, you just have your vacuum and, a couple tools, what creative offer and targeting are you guys running?
On Meta or Google?
On Meta.
On Meta, all my traffic drives straight to ceramic coating. So, and the offer that I run is 50% off ceramic coatings. So you always want to have an offer to be able to get people into the pipeline. So on my Meta ads, they're all video ads. And I say, something that's, something that engages the client, like, hey, are you looking to protect your vehicle? Hey, are you looking to do this? Something that grabs them in the hook, then the body telling them about the product, and then my offer is 50% off all ceramic coatings. Or you guys can do different. I do 50% off because that's what I've been doing for the last 12 months. That's what's worked. And that's what literally one of my ad sets is one of my ad sets. I'm going to launch it for you guys tomorrow because clearly all of you guys want to see it, but I'm going to post it tomorrow. It made me over $250,000 in 90 days. And that's the offer that worked for me. So whatever offer you guys want to do, go ahead and do it, but don't reinvent the wheel, guys. Like, if I'm already doing something that's working, just use that. We've literally generated over $1 million off of saying 50% off all ceramic coatings. It works. Gets people in, drives that FOMO, right? How do you guys feel whenever you get FOMO? Whenever you guys are shopping in the store and you guys see, oh, this is 50% off, holy shit, I'm gonna buy it. That's how people feel about our ceramic coatings. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, just to be clear, you guys, because I'm kind of fresh to the Meta ad stuff. You guys don't do any Meta ads for just basic details, correct? You guys focus all that on ceramic coatings, on maybe paint corrections or stuff like that?
Correct.
Okay, got you. And then, I guess to follow up, what would be if you were doing Google? Do you think it'd be something similar?
No, and Google's where we market our details. So Google's where we market our details. Those are the high intent details. We do some ceramic coating too, we have ceramic coating keywords, but Google's mainly focused for details to stack up the van. And then our ceramic coating is more for to stack up the shop, as well as our PPF as well. We do PPF ads on Facebook as well.
Thank you.
Of course, bro.
Good shit. Cool. All right, boys, I'm going to bounce. Poker night at family's house. And then tomorrow we got an early day.